gentlemen, we are getting ready for Week 6, Game 1. Millenium as the blue team facing off against the Copenhagen Wolves as the red team. And I don't like to get you all riled up too soon, because we have a pause.
At multiple stages. So we'll see if they can actually solidify their performances in this matchup right now.
Well, they are one of the teams that have really focused on practice this week. We do see some differences in support items. That's about it, really, across the board. We do see the coin coming out for Unlimited, but that's about all we're going to get to look at. And
on somebody like Arene who likes to gank, frequently, it's a great fit.
Yeah, I think that's numbers that are literally only topped by Kassadin. That's the only person I can think of that comes remotely close to that. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe this time. 1 minute into the game. It's all good. We're going to get started. Kirp's going to try and walk up and put a little poke on Coutard. Coutard's just wondering if he wants to dance with him. Oktoberfest Coutard being selected there, of course. We are in Germany. Kirp's just going to, Kevin just going to lie down in the river, and the line of scrimmage is setting up. Or maybe it could just be a kickoff, because we are in Europe.
It is a kickoff. Kickoff was a minute and a half bar for a few timeouts already. But I think one of the reasons that we don't see a lot of these lower level invades and trying to get vision control is because of the fact that there are these wards that come in a minute and a half since the Trinket game has come in. In terms of the ban numbers, we've seen 45 bans for Kassadin. The 2 times it has been picked in Europe, it's led to victories. North America, let's just say their Kassadins aren't up to European standards, and that doesn't have quite as stellar a winning record.
Yeah, they only really started playing it after the World Finals as well. So, we're underway again, ladies and gentlemen. Part 3 of the Millenium Copenhagen Wolves Epic. This could be a long game as well, because both of these teams have a very long average game lengths. Copenhagen Wolves certainly do draw things out, but as you mentioned at the start, Millenium are going to be hoping to try and close this one out earlier with their team comp. We'll see how it develops.
Yeah, we'll see how the lanes match up. We talked about how Copenhagen Wolves cannot afford to fall behind, and they've actually decided to put their duo lane mid. This has allowed Amazing to go for this very early invade because he's got all of the support. Kirp wants to challenge.
He's going to come straight in there. He's going to get closed off as well. Kevin Gunn's going to get the stun down. Is it going to be enough? Amazing will back away. It's going to be Arene that takes it, but that experience will be shared across whoever was there.
Now, the interesting thing about that is it was only Unlimited that responded to that invade, but it was very, very late. They've gone for this duo lane push, and they didn't necessarily use the numbers advantage to their favor. Amazing gets out alive thanks to some very good usage of Lee Sin's abilities, but invade failed at the end of the day.
So 2v1 in the mid lane. That's Kirp up against Forgiven and Unlimited. And of course, down that bottom lane, we have Creaton and J-Ree facing off against Coutard on the Gragas, who is yet to come into the lane.
So we'll see how effective these mid laners are now going to be. This is quite interesting because Kirp is going to be denied significantly harder than what Coutard will be on this Gragas. In addition, the damage that Gragas plus Lee Sin are going to have in a sort of 2v1 situation will be very, very effective if they can get a kill. Aranea with an early mid lane gank. We talked about how he likes to gank for Kirp. He likes to make things happen. Look for a cocoon to start. They might actually go in once this wave gets a little bit shredded by the tower.
Yeah, 0 ward, 0 protection. Unlimited's going to face check, going to go straight towards Arene, who puts a burst of damage down on him. Forgiven quickly turn around and put a burst of damage back onto Kirp to make sure he didn't join that fight. And they will keep themselves at bay. So both junglers helping out these solo lanes at the moment. Arene is sticking around. Cocoon's not going to land this time around, and he will back off.
Yeah, Unlimited needs ideally to get to level 3 before he can start a fight. Whenever you play with Leona, you want to have your on-hit stun, your Eclipse, as well as your Zenith Blade, and he just didn't have the tools available to try and turn that one around. But very interesting to see how the Copenhagen Wolves have decided to mitigate the strength of Millenium. They feel that the longer they can keep Kirp's Fizz down and maybe deny the roam, the better it will be for their situation. It also will buy time for Young Bucks Trundle to be in a position where he can actually challenge Kevin's Renekton, because Renekton generally wins that matchup.
Yeah, and you can see the focus they're putting on towards Arene right now. They're going to lock on towards him. That's going to be amazing following through, and that's going to force him well away from this one. Has he got enough to take him down, though? Kirp is going to come around the side there. Unlimited thought about jumping in for the stun, and he will be forced back. You saw the ward also in the river. They're focusing so heavily on what Arene does.
Yeah, and very, very crucially, Amazing was able to read Aranea. Now we see Amazing and Unlimited roaming down to this bottom lane. Luckily, Millenium have decided to back away. They realize the threat. If you look at Coutard's position, he was actually moving very far down that line, which is very unusual for a 1v2. So I think that movement, that posture, is what gave away the gank, and Creaton and Jerry were able to avoid that risky situation.
does buy mid lane a slight little bit of time there. Kerp, that pressure on towards that tower. Remember, this is 4.1. You know, these towers in the top and the mid lane were buffed up quite heavily. We're not quite onto 4.2 just yet in the European League of Legends Championship Series, but right now it is Youngbuck putting pressure on towards Kevin in this top lane. It's back and forth. Kevin is, of course, winning out the CS, which you kind of expect in this lane.
No, I'm so happy you mentioned the towers, because Unlimited Leon is not going to be a very big tower pushing threat. Ironically, if the Copenhagen Wolves had gone for a Karma in this situation, it actually would have worked quite well with the roaming Lee Sin and trying to counter jungle. However, because of the strength of the Caitlyn Annie lane from Millenium, they didn't want to put Forgiven and Unlimited into that lane pre-6. I think we may see them lane swap once Forgiven and Unlimited get their ultimates available, because then all of a sudden Jerry and Creatine have to be a little more defensive. They can't run the risk of eating a full combo from a Copenhagen Wolves duo lane.
Kevin going to be warding out that Tribush in the top lane, keeping himself safe from Amazing, who we mentioned the start of the show, that the fact that he has that 81% kill participation, the highest of all junglers, so keep your eyes on him being involved in every single fight that the Copenhagen Wolves do. Generally they'll stick and carry on farming in the lanes until he shows up. At the moment, Kerp is doing a defensive job. He is falling behind Coutard in terms of CS, and that's no surprise, because, you know, a Fizz early game is going to be a tough one to farm, especially in this 2v1 lane.
Yeah, it's going to be nearly very difficult to get every single CS. RNL once again roaming to the mid lane Cocoon. Is it going to connect? That's the question. They catch Unlimited, but it's not really who they want.
Well, they're just going to put a little burst of damage, like you say. They weren't going to follow through on that one. They had no visual identification of where Amazing was, and instead he's just going to roam past and head back down towards that bottom lane.
Now, I want to keep our eyes on the Kevin versus Youngbuck lane as far as CS is concerned. Kevin right now is putting a lot of pressure onto Youngbuck, as you should with the Renekton, but it's only grabbed himself a 7 CS lead. Youngbuck should be able to actually close those numbers out. So we'll see how this transpires once they go back and pick up their first items, because we've actually seen Renektons destroying Trundles in lane up until level 11, 12, where all of a sudden Trundle gets the likes of a Blade of the Rune King, or maybe some more defensive items, and then can sit even with that Renekton.
Yeah, I'm interested to see which way they go, because the last, 3-4 weeks now, we've started to see the Tiamats coming out for both Renektons and Trundles, so we'll see whether they want to go defensive when they go full tank. Kevin tends to go the full tank route. Right now, though, we have a 3-man stack possibly in this mid lane turret.
Amazing's here to respond if RNA goes in.
They're going on towards Unlimited. That's going to be the Earth popping out. We do see the Cocoon going in. That went on towards Amazing, but quickly countered by the fact that the presence of Amazing forced them to back away.
Amazing and RNA have spent all of their time in this middle lane. We're about 8 minutes in and there's a lot of damage on Kerp's tower. So Forgiven and Unlimited are getting closer to the point where they can get the tower down and potentially roam around the map. Also, because of the fact that Forgiven and Unlimited have an easier time at CSing and keeping Kerp down, Kerp is a little bit behind in CS, but Creatine is as well. He's about 10 CS down, and when you consider that both have had basically free farming lanes, that's actually very good, a good sign for Forgiven.
So out stands. You do see the AD carriers backing off, and this may be the beginning of the lane switch. We'll see which way they go. We do see at the moment Coutard backing towards his bottom lane. And actually Creatine will gain some of that CS back. He's going to be pretty much even with Forgiven by the time they both reach that lane. Explosive cast being used there, totally missing between Jerry and Creatine.
Yeah, Coutard just not very happy with himself. You can see on the player cam, just sitting himself backwards. I think that was mostly to try and mitigate some pressure because of the fact that the rest of the lane, Creatine and Jerry, they've also got that tower very, very low. So as it stands, we could see a tower trade situation. Limited getting very close to getting his Solar Flare available. We'll see if he decides to engage with that at any point. Both of the AD carries grab themselves a BF sword and that long sword as well.
Yeah, we also saw the sweeping lenses coming out both from J-Re and Unlimited, so maybe going to try and alleviate some of that pressure, possibly around that dragon. We are at the 9-minute mark. We do see Kerp now taking a rotation. He's going to be going down towards the bottom with Coutard, which leaves Creatine and J-Re up against Forgiven and Unlimited.
That means Kerp was feeling the pressure more than Copenhagen Wolves felt they needed to rotate. Both of the mid laners are the same level right now. Well, Coutard's got blue buff and his ultimate is off cooldown. So with Arena coming in from behind, Coutard could be in trouble.
Well, he's going to try and come towards it. He does get caught with that Cocoon, but it's not going to be enough damage. Kerp had already used his playful trickster. He will throw out the ultimate. That's going to catch him. It's a tower dive coming in. And first blood for Kerp.
Didn't even need to. Every single ability that was thrown up between Arena and Kerp landed. They just chased Coutard down. He didn't have his explosive cast. If that had been up, he could have potentially knocked them away. Now, thanks to the kill that they've secured and having a duo lane so close, Millenium have started off the Dragon. RNA is just going to dance that aggro between these little spiderlings, and this is going to give them a healthy gold lead very early in the game.
So great start for Millenium here. 10 minutes into the game, they start to build themselves that small 1,000 gold lead. All 4 members of Millenium making their move in towards the mid lane.
And that is the kill stems from the exact reason Copenhagen Wolves did not want to put their Gragas against the Fizz. When you combo the Elise, the kill pressure is very, very good. We now have a 3v3. Culling is being used, and Counter's coming from behind. So the Wolves have decided they want this tower, and they're going to start the siege up.
A good measure of damage on towards Creaton there, which means they're going to have to stick around. You can tell he wanted to back away, but Creaton taking low with these 4 members of the Copenhagen Wolves, keeping that pressure on the barrels just out the side there. The minion wave is going to be pushing in. They may get this turret.
Yeah, I think they should be able to if they stick to it. Barrels being used mostly for zoning, I feel. The rest of the Wolves are playing quite safe, and they're melee. You cannot get Lee Sin, Leona, or Gragas onto that tower. Kevin has gone on Youngbuck.
Youngbuck's taken very low here. This may be a tower dive. Dominus is not available. It's already been used. You can see it's on him. The Ignite goes down, but he's not going to choose in. Instead, he decides to walk all the way around the Pillar of Ice and take every little bit of that slow.
Very powerful Pillar of Ice there. Youngbuck not going down. He'd used his Subjugate earlier in that matchup, so he couldn't lifesteal through it. And on the first back, Youngbuck grabs himself a Sunfire Cape, so he's playing to survive. And he's even returning to not lose CS. Amazing wants to set up a gank. I think Kevin should be able to get away if he dodges a Sonic.
Well, he's going to be able to kick in there. He does manage to land it. There's the flash and kick. Pillar of Ice. Kevin's in trouble. He's going down, no doubt about it. It's Youngbuck that gets the kill.
That's a very good positional play from Amazing. He actually used his flash to ensure he got in front of Kevin. And because Kevin, you know, he just burned everything earlier on, he gets taken down. So that's the first kill of the game for the Copenhagen Wolves. We'll see how much tower damage they get down as both of these melee champions are sticking around. Aranea is going to be up to defend though, so it shouldn't be too much trouble. Copenhagen Wolves with a point on the board.
So Aranea will just keep them off this top turret. We did see, you can tell right now, Youngbuck hasn't touched this turret. Meanwhile, Kevin's almost taken down that top one, so almost certainly winning out that lane, but that gank will certainly turn it in Youngbuck's favor. Right now, though, we see Unlimited and Forgiven. They're trying to keep up that CS advantage. They're trying to keep up that pressure in this mid lane. Creaton has moved back in there. They're keeping it going. Neither of them got that Bloodthirst completed just yet, but I feel it's only a matter of time before Copenhagen Wolves take that mid turret down.
Yeah, it won't be too long, and we see now Creaton is deciding to back away, so if we're given an unlimited hard push, they should be able to get it down early. The real story of this game has been these mid laners. Kerp and Counthard are sitting at 1670 CS at the 13-minute mark, and for a Gragas, who is such a phenomenal farmer, that is actually a very low amount. What I like, though, is that the Copenhagen Wolves had recognized that in their laning phase and the way that RNAO plays with Kerp, they were at risk. So they moved the lanes around. Unfortunately for the Wolves, they didn't have the wards. Counthard was overextended, and he gave up first blood against the exact combo they were trying to avoid facing. As it stands, Millenium right now, they've sort of settled in dual lane in the middle, as well as in mid laners down bottom.
This is an interesting combo down this bottom lane. We see RNA is going to get spotted out by that Tribush word in a moment, but both of these champions, they could really burst each other down. You know, if one doesn't land their combos, they will certainly drop the other. At the moment, you stick at the top lane as well. They just keep on beating each other, rubbing up against one another. They're not really doing a great deal unless they pop those ultimates. Dominus is available as his Subjugate, but Youngbuck's just going to get chunked down. Yeah, the fact that Kevin's got a Giant's Belt and that little Tiamat is actually going to give him more kill potential on Youngbuck once he gets the Ignite available. Thanks to the dual lane, first tower to fall will be in favor of Millenium, as this is now going to free up Kerp and Aranea. I really want to see how Kerp plays this game. He's down on CS, he does have the only kill of the game, and he is a great roaming champion, but he needs to actually start moving around the map, and it's significantly harder if you're positioned in that bottom lane. Oh, blue buff goes across the Counthard. You did see the cocoon being thrown out from RNA just towards the end of that tower going down. Didn't land. That may have actually caused them to go aggressive, and there was 3 members of the Copenhagen Wolves down there. This is something we've seen. When you consider that Lee Sin can kick people away, or you've got that Pillar of Ice, if Millenium pick off a little more than they're capable of chewing, it's going to backfire. What I do like, though, is the Copenhagen Wolves' vision in the bottom half of the map. There's about 1.5 minutes till Dragon comes up. So they've got some time to work with as far as those wards are concerned, and it's going to allow them to make a more educated decision on whether they want to challenge for this Dragon. I feel like the Wolves have to, because if they give away 2 Dragons back-to-back and a tower, Millenium can actually start snowballing a bit of a lead. Oh, amazing. Landing the Sonic Wave on towards RNA, keeping him at bay there. Mid lane turret still very low. Kerp continuing to farm down this bottom. He's going to push on towards Counthard. Remember, there's no tower to dive on towards. doesn't go for the urgent strike. Instead, he lands that ultimate. Explosive cast keeps him well at bay.
Yeah, very well played. clg just throwing down that ultimate to keep himself alive. I think if Kerp had managed to jump in, he could have potentially gone for the kill. We do see Unlimited with Solar Flare available coming in from behind. He's walked straight over a ward, and they've decided against it. Playful Trickster is available, so maybe not feeling that they could land him, lock him up in time.
But in the river, everybody else was starting to position themselves. J-Ree nearly getting caught out there by Amazing and Forgiven. Meanwhile, Aranea just covering off that mid lane. I want to talk about these top laners because we've seen them both go in the opposite builds. One went for Tiamat first and then into Sunfire Cape. The other one went Sunfire Cape into Tiamat. What do you prefer?
So I'm expecting Youngbuck to actually go for Blade of the Ruined King. I think it's what I'm going.
Point.
The only Trundle that we've seen go Tiamat is Darian, in fact. The rest traditionally go for Blade of the Ruined King. And right now, clg stopped to get the damage reduction. He's in trouble.
He is in trouble. He's going to run away from that one. Playful Trickster's not going to close the gap. Flashed during the Playful Trickster. Doesn't quite land it. This time the Urgent Strike will. One more hit. Who's going to take it? He was trying to give it to Creaton, but they failed and Kerp took it.
Aranea doesn't get the assist. Creaton didn't connect with the Pult over Peacemaker. Thanks to a kill on clg again, this has allowed Millenium to grab themselves a dragon. With all of that vision down that was down in the bottom half of the map, clg still finds himself overextended. Amazing wasn't in position to counter gank, and that's going to give Millenium another kill, another dragon. And to be very honest, I would say complete control of this game. Everything that Copenhagen Wolves have done, that they have thrown to Millenium have responded, and they've got themselves kills and objectives.
Right now, the only kill is in this top lane. Youngbuck continuing to try and drive down that turret. Does get a good chunk of damage down on it this time around. Kevin's going to try and force him back. Both these top turrets now very, very low, and you can see this fight continues to go. Non-stop action, but not really that exciting.
It's not. And until Youngbuck actually gets a Blade of the Ruined King completed, Kevin should still have the ability to actually win the fight. You'll see him just going in and trading. Subjugate's been used from Youngbuck.
And we see, of course, now that ultimate use. Kevin quickly backing away from that one, just buying time for Aranea to come up. Has he gone too deep? Subjugate runs off now. This is perfect timing for Aranea to come in there. Cocoon is yet to be used. He's got to wait for that minion wave to go down. Pillar of Ice is going to come out. There's the repel. He's going to switch out. Cocoon should land. It does on the tower. They're going to go in there. Dominus will get popped. They have to back away. Amazing now caught between a rock and a very hard place between Aranea and Kevin.
Now Unlimited may want to pick a fight here. We'll see if he throws down the Solar Flare. There's not a lot of damage for the rest of the Wolves, and Millenium are actually backing out.
Well, they catch where it is, and at the moment we do see just about catching on there. Unlimited backing off. They did use that sweeping lens to make sure there was no ward spotted. But while this is all going on, down the bottom lane, Kerp has got himself a giant chunk of farm. He's took himself 20-30 CS while clg was having to cover off.
Now, luckily, clg, thanks to his wave clear, is actually not falling behind Kerp. But the main problem is now that with the Lich Bane completed, Kerp has a little bit of an easier time trying to set up a kill on clg. Thanks to the immense mobility of Fizz, it makes clg's life very difficult on Gragas to combo him down and burst him out. But the one thing that the Wolves are doing is individually, they are being caught out. They pushed mid lane, which was a smart decision early. They did a lane swap, which appeared to work out for a time. But now clg's been caught out twice overextending. Youngbuck took the bait, hook, line, and sinker, trying to fight Kevin. And that's allowed Aranea to grab himself 2 assists and help Millenium get themselves this 3,000 gold lead.
I thought he could maybe win out that fight. Instead, it's given Kevin the Sunfire Cape along with that Tiamat and Ninja Tabi, so he is going to be pretty much immovable in that top lane. Aranea takes the red and the blue for himself still, so we'll see how that run continues, because we're expecting Kurt to be wanting that one. Creaton, he's returned towards his mid lane to grab himself that Bloodthirster and Zeal, so we'll see whether he goes towards the Static Shiv or Phantom Dancer. I'm not so sure which way he wants to take it. J-Ree taking a burst of damage from Forgiven.
Now, I want to make a statement that I think Millenium have a ticking time bomb. Aranea has been caught up by Amazing.
That's a fail. He flashed on towards that one, wanted to get the kick on towards Aranea, I think. He didn't manage to land it. Yeah, he just didn't land it.
I think he also decided against it potentially because it was only Unlimited that was close by. Forgiven had not left the mid lane, and clg was still in the bottom lane. The rest of Copenhagen Wolves have now grouped up. Going to try and defend off this blue buff. It's going to be a 4v4. A teleport has been used from Youngbuck. He's coming in from the side.
He's coming in down the side there. Will it be enough? You can see
Aranea
has to repel away. He's just going to throw out the Earth. Will land on towards him. Amazing's going to get taken over. Kerp's gone too deep, and he's going to turn back around, and if Forgiven gets a kill, the culling comes out. Aranea has to flash away from it. They're going to continue to chase. 90 caliber net lands. Then J-Ree and Creaton back away, but there's no objectives to take other than the blue.
You called it earlier. Millenium sometimes go overly aggressive. They picked the fight when they needed to have backed away, and in a straight up 5v5 situation, The power of Gragas and Leona is way higher than that of J-Ree's Annie. There's just more tools for the Wolves to work with. Youngbuck had actually started his teleport to the fight, and it got interrupted by Kevin. We didn't see it happening on stream. It was up in that top lane. But what has transpired is that the Copenhagen Wolves have grabbed themselves that middle tower, and that's giving them a little bit more global gold. Right now, we do see Counted once again moving to the bottom lane, and I was saying this before the fight happened. Millenium have somewhat of a ticking time bomb on their hands. I feel that the longer they take to press the advantage that they have or had, gives Gragas and Trundle more time to scale up and gives Leona more tanky items. And once the Copenhagen Wolves are able to defend sieges and start fights, they're in a good position. Kevin wants to challenge for the double golem.
It's going to come across, he gets it as well. Youngbuck's not happy with that one, but he's not quite close enough to land that basic attack. Instead, he's going to use that sweeping lens, which he's now picked up. Incidentally, looking across the sweeping lens, you see Millenium picking up 3 of them now, so they really want to be a bit more aggressive here.
That's a great decision from Millenium because of the pick power that their composition has with Renekton, Elise, and Fizz having great ability to duel and grab kills. It's going to allow them to, set up death pushes, force Copenhagen Wolves to make ill-advised decisions, I think. One of the things that Millenium can also do to help mitigate the sort of straight-up sieging 5v5 power, Millenium have got very strong split-push champions. If you leave Renekton with that Tiamat in the top lane, and you leave Kerp maybe in the bottom lane, you can actually have them try force the Copenhagen Wolves to move to them, and then outplay your opposing team with better rotations and better positioning on the map.
Yeah, just sort of Kevin triggering that Tiamat, not quite landing it where he wanted it to. Wasn't quite close enough. We do see Kerp just lingering off. Look at that. Death bush waiting to happen. Kerp and Aaron. Oh, and Amazing's gone straight in for it. He's going to have to go straight on towards him. Doesn't manage to land the Urchin Strike on towards Amazing. Quickly gets away. At the moment, though, Forgiven going to put some damage down on Kevin. J-Ree also coming around. Dragon, of course, up in 20 seconds. That's the objective they are all going for. And I don't think Copenhagen Wolves want to fight for this one. They may try and get the steal, though.
The Copenhagen Wolves, if they get a very good combination of a Leona ultimate or Gragas ultimate, then they can challenge for 5v5. But I think they're a little bit scared of the single target burst damage that can come down from Millenium. Also remember, the teleport from Youngbuck should be up in a few seconds, but that Dragon is dead so quickly.
Going down very fast. That's going to be picked up. It's Aaron that takes it. The Pyro comes in way too late. Youngbuck, meanwhile, in that top lane. He continues and takes down the turret. So technically an objective trade, despite the fact Kevin didn't even leave the lane. Youngbuck's really done a good job in the top.
Yeah, I prefer the tower trade as well. I think getting the tower down, it opens up more areas of the map and allows the Copenhagen Wolves to potentially go for any sort of invade, trying to challenge for blues or similar. And because we've hit the stage where Youngbuck's level 13, he's got his Blade of the Ruin King finished and that Sunfire Cape, I'm expecting him to now start winning the fights against Kevin, if Kevin is brave enough to stick around.
Cowtown's building up towards that Rabadon's Death Cat. Once he gets that in there, it's going to be problems for Millenium, because that wave clear is going to be huge for the Copenhagen Wolves, and we haven't seen Forgiven actually leaving that mid lane yet.
No, Forgiven is doing fairly well. He's got himself 280 CS at the 23.5-minute mark, which is an incredible number. He's got his Trinity Force and Bloodthirster completed, going to work towards that last Whisper next. And I think now that Lucian has hit this very strong sort of item level, Copenhagen Wolves should start looking for fights. They're 2,000 gold down, which is not an immense amount. They have the ability to control the tempo of a team fight. Leona can engage in lockdown, Gragas can disengage, Trundle can engage or disengage. So there's a lot more tools for the Wolves to play with if they can force Millenium's hand, and that's going to be the difficult thing. Right now, Youngbuck's found himself a curve.
Try and poke on towards him, gets a Pillar of Ice, goes for the chomp on him as well, and that took half his hit points off there. So Youngbuck is not to be trifled with anymore.
Not at all. And because the tower fell in the top lane, we talked about how Millenium can split push and how they've got very strong dueling champions. They have to deal with one of the strongest dueling champions in the game right now. Blade of the Ruin King plus Sunfire Cape and the subjugate from Youngbuck's troll from his Trundle will be very difficult for Millenium to deal with. I think that's the reasoning that J-Ree and Aranea hovering around this bottom lane. They won't engage. This is going to be support on support action, and we'll see who pulls the trigger first. Tibbers is available. I can't see if Jeremy had his stun up, and we'll see. Youngbuck's been jumped on.
Going to go on towards Youngbuck, trying to bait him closer and closer towards that tower. Oh, he gets spotted as soon as he goes in towards that bush. Youngbuck not falling for that one. And Kerp's going to continue that farm. We also saw Kevin. He was trying to push out that top lane, but that's been dealt with. Coutard's gone up there, kept him at bay. So at the moment, it is all neutral between these two teams. Nobody really going aggressive. Maybe we'll see something set up in the mid.
Yeah, they've caught Jerry.
They're going to go in towards it. Solar Flare going to go down. Jerry's caught out. The culling, burning down the damage on towards him. Tibbers does get thrown down. Is it enough to save him? No! Jerry will fall.
Very good combination. Once again, Copenhagen Wolves landing every single ability. I think every single shot of the culling connected onto Jerry there. Now the Copenhagen Wolves have got a kill. That's great. But there's no dragon available to take. There's no tower in the mid lane to secure either. So the Wolves, they got themselves a kill, they got themselves some gold, but it hasn't equated to any map presence right now, which I think is what the Wolves need.
So Kerp, again, look at this. Youngbuck's taking the top tower, and now he's really putting the pressure on. Just his mere presence on Kerp was keeping him at bay, but Kerp will clear it out with that playful trickster and finally back off. His mid turret, I'm amazed they haven't put more pressure on it because it was taken so low, so early on. Youngbuck has not gone away yet. He will take down that ward. Kerp's just like, God damn it, I just want to get myself some free time, some free farm, but Youngbuck not allowing it.
What I like about this decision from the Wolves is it's slowed down Kerp's farm. He's now actually falling behind that of Kautard, and we've seen the way the lane was going. Kerp plus Aranea were able to kill Kautard multiple times. So this is not only keeping him shut down, but it's denying that presence. Now the rest of the Wolves have decided to respond. They've got a lot of very deep wards in and around the red buff, and they've set their sights on the tower and on Kerp.
Kerp is baiting them in though, because there's 5 members of Millenium all coming in there. We see Youngbuck taking some tower damage. Kerp goes in again, trying to play for Trickster, trying to make Copenhagen Wolves pull the trigger, slices and dices in towards them, but it will not follow through. Dragon up in 2 minutes. Millenium, they tried a 5-man maneuver. The counter did work. It saved Kerp's bacon. But it didn't get any kills.
Saved the life, and it saved the tower as well. If Kerp had gone down, the Copenhagen Wolves could potentially have shoved down that lane a little bit further, and thanks to all the vision that they've now given themselves of the Millenium red buff in that area, it allows the Wolves to respond to those sort of death ganks and to those roams from the Millenium team. As it stands, the Wolves get away, maybe a little bit lucky not to give up any kills. If Kerp had saved that Chamber Waters till a little later, could have worked in his favor. We just go back to this very extended laning phase. We've seen a couple kills and a couple towers, but truthfully, it's really just been lane swapping and CSing for 27 minutes.
Half an hour of farming is what it's been. Forgiven has himself been back and got himself a Trinity Force, Bloodthirster, and Last Whisper. So he's got a lot of damage on that Lucian now. It's going to be working. That culling will actually do some work. Meanwhile, Creaton, well, he's got Last Whisper, Static Shift, and the Bloodthirster.
The interesting itemization here is that Kevin has gone for the Thornmail first. You know, the rest of the items we're looking at are fairly standard, are fairly norm. You know, we've got a very early Boots of Mobility as well as Distortion upgrade from Jerry. He's the only initiation from Millenium. But when you look at Kevin, he's signaling very, very clearly, I do not care about Kautard. I do not want to be dealing with Kautard at all. It's my goal to get in the face of Youngbuck, get in the face of Forgiven, and try to run amok there. And we'll see how effective it is, because there's not a massive amount of HP on Kevin's side yet. So we'll see who can kill their opposing tanks fastest in these next team fights.
Well, the dragon fight almost certainly will be the focus. 20 seconds until that happens, but will Millenium instead choose to push towards this middle turret?
Right now, Millenium are going to need to deal with the fact Kauton's coming in from the side, and the Wolves have got very good vision, so they know where everybody is. They do not have Youngbuck with them. They've got a Jerry!
Solar Flare on Jerry. Will it be enough? The barrel comes rolling through, but Limited's taken very low as well. He's going to go down. Creaton picks up the kill. Pillar of Ice from Youngbuck just coming in the side. Sonya's Hourglass from Kerp. Is it going to be enough to save him? The Ignite's running there. They're going to go across and chase on towards him. But would you believe Millenium come out pretty much even there? It's a 1-for-1. They're still pushing. And Dragon's been taken by the Copenhagen Wolves.
Now there is a tower in the mid lane. The Copenhagen Wolves right now are not going to be able to defend their tower, but they're going to trade Dragon for tower. So all 3 outer turrets are now down on the side of the Wolves. They may want to try set something up. Amazing's looking for the Sonic Wave. He catches a Tibbers, and that's not going to do a whole lot. They give him some extra gold.
50 gold, that's what it's worth. But nevertheless, it is going to be 3 towers to 2 for Millenium, so that middle turret did go down, as well as the Dragon. In terms of gold, well, you can see between them, it's just 500 gold there, and Kautard comes in and gets himself a blue buff taken away from the Millenium jungle.
So what I liked about the Copenhagen Wolves in that situation is they did have Youngbuck coming in from behind. Unfortunately, Kautard's dispersion of the explosive cast was not available at the turret fight. It had been used earlier on, cooldown had been blown. And if that was available to split up Millenium, maybe they could have gone better for the Wolves. There's a solar flare. Jerry's another target.
Jerry flashes away from it this time around, and Kevin slices away. Kautar was caught out with a stun on the cocoon there. We do see the culling coming out. That's all going to land on Jerry. He can't run into that bush. There is a barrel ready and waiting.
So that was a fight on two fronts. The Copenhagen Wolves had placed so many wards down earlier, they were moving back into the jungle to repeat those wards, to try and get some more vision. The blue buff steal a little bit before was thanks to the vision they'd afforded themselves. And now all of a sudden, the Copenhagen Wolves have started this siege gameplay. They've grouped up as 5. Luckily, thanks to the range of Creatin's Caitlyn and that static Shiv, they clear that wave quickly enough, and the Wolves back away. They don't want to sit in a 5v5 under the tower for too long.
So let's have a look at what has been going on. Everybody backing away. Everybody's going to start buying out those items. RNA maybe going to build in towards that Leandris, but it's going to be a while off at the moment. He's sticking with that Haunting, guys. We'll see how that develops. Frozen Heart, almost certainly Randian, going to be coming out there, and that will get completed. Meanwhile, Spectre's Cowl's being picked up all across the board for Millenium here. No surprise there, they want that magic resist. Countdown's barrels are going to start doing some really dangerous damage. The fact that he has that Rabadon's complete. What's going to be his next item, we'll see.
He needs to get himself a Void Staff. I think that's what this Blasting Wand is going to be upgraded into. The fact that Countdown is 31 minutes in and he's only starting this one is a testament to the early game lane swap. It didn't work out in Countdown or the Wolves' favor. Countdown lost around 50 or 60 CS in the 10 to 15 minute mark, which is what we tend to see on those numbers. So we'll see how he eventually gets to that position, because in those last fights, he was dealing a lot of damage to Kevin, who at the time only had a Spirit Visage, and we'll see how Kevin decides to itemize CMR.
Yeah, interestingly, that we see a Sunfire Cape coming out from Amazing on Lee Sin this time around. So we'll see whether he's fancying getting involved in maybe either split pushing or just going to stand in amongst Millenium.
I also think that's another sign of just saying that in these team fights, Amazing wants to play very similar to how Aranea played last week. Aranea would jump into team fights and try to look for Reckless over and over and over. And I think we're going to see Amazing trying to find Creatine in these team fights, throwing himself in. He's got a lot of armor, and if he's in and amongst the members of Millenium, that Sunfire Cape actually deals quite a lot of damage as it ticks over. So approaching about 35, 40 damage per second now. It adds up if you're sitting in 3 or 4 members of your opposing team.
Interestingly, Coutard seeing that Kerp was around that fight, didn't want any of it. Does wipe out a giant wave though, and it's actually Copenhagen Wolves that are starting to put the pressure onto Millenium. You know, you talked about this at the start with the team comps. Copenhagen Wolves, if they get into a position where they can start pressuring those turrets, Millenium are going to struggle to keep that wave clear, to keep them at bay.
Both of these teams have got very good scaling in different areas. As this game goes on, Kerp's going to be able to just destroy anybody, maybe with the exception of Youngbuck. He's going to be able to just pop them down once he gets a little bit more ability power secured. On the other side for the Wolves, Gragas's poke with those barrels becomes immense. And you've got Trundle that just scales so well. The more tanky your opponents become, the more powerful he can become. He can steal those tank stats. So Millenium need to be very scared and very nervous when it comes to straight up 5v5s. There's that top lane exciting battle once again.
Well, it's a bruiser fight that actually could start turning now, and I think the fact that that Thornmail has been completed, Youngbuck, we saw there immediately, didn't want any part of it. Just went, I'm going to walk away from this one. Not a lot Kevin can do about him walking away, but I don't think he can fight him anymore.
I don't think so. Without the assistance of either a mid laner or a jungler, those top laners should be fairly safe against one another. The Thornmail will also, like you said, just make it very difficult for Youngbuck to even 1v1 him, but Youngbuck can steal a lot of that armor, can give it to himself, and really maybe sort of sustain through the damage that Kevin's putting out. Both of these teams are getting so tanky and so powerful. A big team fight now could cost a Baron. They've got a lot of damage, they've got a lot of tankiness, so it should be easy. Unlimited's going to be a little bit in trouble if he gets caught by Chum the Waters or similar.
Yeah, stood on top of a ward, just playing the defensive line there, trying to keep them away from that Baron, just a minute away to that Dragon, but that's not the focus anymore. You're going to see, they're going to catch on towards it. Kerp has gone deep, but they are ready and waiting for it. The damage coming out is going to blow on towards Kautar. Quick explosive cast keeps them all at bay. Solar Flare goes down. It is going to be Kautar that drops, so will Copenhagen Wolves follow through? Teleport coming in. Here comes Youngbuck on towards him. Pillar of Ice catching on towards him, and he's tanking the entire team. Nobody else is helping him, and you saw him putting the damage down. but nobody in the Wolves responded.
No, the rest of the Wolves were too far away. They were trying to get in range to put damage down, and even with the subjugate, Youngbuck wasn't tanky enough. Now they've caught Aranea.
They caught Aranea out. He's going to have to repel. He's got the Wolves to go to this time around. Oh, but look at that. Amazing, going very, very deep. Does manage to keep them at bay. Now you see the middle turret. That may be the focus of target. We do see Kraton backing off, and the rest of the Copenhagen Wolves will walk away.
Yeah, Aranea grabs his knife and fork out and throws himself towards the Wolf camp with the usage of that repel. Even though Millenium got the jump on the Wolves, they got themselves a kill. It wasn't enough to go further. The dispersion from the Gragas ultimate as well as the solar flare prevented Millenium from sticking on the target for a longer period of time. What has actually transpired from all of that is the Copenhagen Wolves have got better positioning and grabbed themselves a dragon. In the grand scheme of things, advantage Wolves. They gave up 1 kill, they got caught out. They did have to burn a teleport for it. They've got themselves a dragon and a gold lead.
Yeah, big gold lead starting to develop, and you know, Copenhagen Wolves are starting to draw them out. Amazing, going to get caught out with a cocoon. Youngbucks are caught out of position. This time around with 2 carries on him. He does have to burn that flash.
I'm actually quite surprised at the amount of damage that was put onto Youngbuck. He did have his subjugate available if he wanted to use it, but that was basically a full rotation, QER from Kerp, and it chunked off about 30-40% of Youngbuck's HP, so we'll have to see if Kerp can get past him. You know, he's going to melt everyone else, considering that that's the tankiest member of the Wolves.
Well, we did warn you this game may go long, and it certainly is so far. 36 minutes in this game, just 5-4 between them, and both 80 carries at 400 plus farm. So this is going to continue to the late stages. Spirit Visage completed and picked up by the Copenhagen Wolves. Meanwhile, Forgiven. Look at this, Mercurial Scepter coming out.
Yeah, so the Mercurial Scimitar is the upgrade from the Quicksilver Sash.
Scimitar.
And it's something that we don't actually see all that often. And part of the reason I think it's very smart in this situation is if he gets caught by Chum the Waters from Kerp's fish, he's going to be able to drop it on the floor. The thing we've got to keep our eyes open for is the Earth is still active. If anybody else steps over it, they will pick it up. Countard actually using his ultimate there just on J-Ree, and with 1 attack from Baron, that's a lot of damage.
That's a lot of damage. It means J-Ree's going to have to back away, and the Copenhagen Wolves are close enough to gather through. No teleport for Youngbuck right now, which is why he's got to be dangerous, split pushing down that bottom, but the fact they have just bursted J-Ree down there, it's going to be safe. Blue buff for Countard, no problems there. I was just wondering whether Youngbuck's going to stroll in there and steal it with his Sunfire Cape. I wasn't quite sure what he was doing there. Running the experience.
Yeah, just going to come in and help out. Make sure that nobody from Millenium can challenge for it either. The presence of Trinal working in his favor. Now, if you look at the situation of the game, it's a 2,000 gold lead for the Copenhagen Wolves. As we've already touched on, they've got a very, very strong 5v5. Millenium need to find a pick. That's why they're waiting out in the wings. The Pillar of Ice reveals them, and now the Wolves are jumping in.
That's just it. Millenium are trying this. I'm going to sit in the bush and gank someone, but Youngbuck's there. The Pillar of Ice will go down. You're going to see them all. There's no problem about it.
I want to go back to our pre-game where we were talking about what do Millenium need to do in order to win. They had a similar problem last week against Gambit. Their composition relied on them being heavily ahead early in order to initiate without real risk. Right now, they don't have a Gragas or Leona, and you see Kerp throws down Chum the Waters. It does nothing.
Desperate to go for it. Wow, amazing going deep. Tried to get the kick, but a very quick Zonya's Hourglass from Kerp there. This is all because Countard have shown himself in that top lane. The top wave wasn't cleared out though, but the Copenhagen Wolves did know there's an ultimate down. They're going to push.
Yeah, they've got all of their members grouped up nice and tightly. The rest of Millenium have still got a lot of ultimates available. With the exception of Chum the Waters, the initiation power from J-Ree is still there. Look at Youngbuck waiting on the sides. He's trying to reduce the chances of that flank maneuver coming in, and the Wolves are just going to carry on sieging. The strength of those pillars and barrels is very powerful. Look at the damage.
Explosive cast blowing 3 members of Millenium, and another barrel follows through. Aranea cannot stand that fight any longer, and the tower will go sieged down beautifully by the Copenhagen Wolves.
We talked about it, strength and weaknesses of the compositions. Millenium do not have a clear engage. We didn't see J-Ree flashing for a Tivers or flashing for a stun. It was actually Kerp that started with Chums. It didn't connect. Now the Wolves got the inner turret. They've turned their focus to the bottom inner turret, and it's just going to be a rinse and repeat of this mid lane. Barrels, pillars, and trying to get Forgiven on the tower.
Explosive cask won't be available before the Earth is, which you can see from Kerp. Great white Earth going to be popping out. Not quite the shark, but it's more dangerous because it's an Earth.
Yeah, manatees are OP. Take a look at Forgiven. He still hasn't upgraded his boots yet. He's relying on the movement speed from Trinity Force and the passive. So if Forgiven is a little bit too far forward, there is the risk of him being caught out. And you see the Wolves, they're actually retreating. Millenium, they want to set something up. It would have to be a flash something for Millenium to catch anybody.
Yeah, flash tippers from Jerry may be what's required to certainly turn this fight on its head, but the fact that that explosive cask is back available means the Wolves are quite happy to back away from this one. Nothing really can be gained, no objectives, so they're actually playing the game as it's meant to be. Go for those objectives, not the kills.
So the Copenhagen Wolves have not challenged for Dragon until very late in the game. They gave away the first few Dragons, thanks to, of course, Kautar being caught out. Now that they're in this very strong position and their champions have scaled effectively, they are starting to challenge. Teleport is available for Youngbuck, and there is a ward in the pit. So if the rest of the Wolves get here in time, this is going to be a massive fight. Teleport started.
It's a fast Baron, but not fast enough. The culling comes out, already takes Kerp and J-Reed down to half health, and they can see the Pillar of Ice. That's going to slow everyone down just in time for the explosive cast to land. Does blow them all backwards, does catch them all out, and Millenium, well, they're in full retreat.
The Copenhagen Wolves need to decide what they want to do. With the cask down, they've decided to go for a blue buff steal, and I'd like to see them go backwards and try get a quick Baron. As it stands, Millenium are considering challenging. The Wolves used those ultimates, used the teleport and the cask, but it didn't really seem to be for a direct purpose. The rest of Millenium are still toying with this idea. Chum the Waters is available, and thanks to mobility, this could be very, very risky. Let's see what RNA and Kerp can do.
J-Reed isn't here, so no flash tibbers just yet. He's trying desperately to run to this fight. They're trying to delay it as much as they can, but that Baron is going down. You can see the bottom left of your screen almost dropped already. Kautar goes in, Solar Flare being thrown out, completely missing on towards RNA. Instead, the culling comes on towards Kevin. Unlimited taken very low. They're going to catch one down, but it's a one-for-one trade right now, and they are going to keep the barrels going. Creaton at the back, but he's forced away. Baron did not go down.
No, it didn't, but we did see the Copenhagen Wolves getting a kill on the jungler. So if they wanted to try a risky Baron, they could. During the course of the team fight, Unlimited wasted the Solar Flare. He made up for it by catching Aranea with a great Zenith Blade. Locked Aranea out, and that allowed the Copenhagen Wolves to grab a kill. But we talked about the mobility and how the Millenium team is actually, they can dart in and out of fights very quickly and efficiently, and it made it very difficult for the Wolves to kill them because they missed their crucial ultimates. It is going to allow them to grab a Dragon, and I think smart play by the Wolves not to try and rush a risky, brave Baron.
So a 5,000 gold differential starting to grow for the Copenhagen Wolves. And remember, it's Millenium that had themselves that gold lead. It was only about a 2,000-3,000 gold lead at the most, but they did have that lead, and it's starting to slide away from them. So that gold sliding in towards Forgiven's favor. And every time we look in towards Forgiven's favor, because he got 500 CS, that's why I'm thinking of Forgiven. Just seeing him now, he's taking the blue.
So this is actually quite smart because of the pushing power that he has and the ability to get the culling back over and over and over. I really like the pickup. I also like the fact that he's going for a Blade of the Ruined King. It's going to allow him to duel and deal with the likes of Aranea or Kevin in those sort of 1v1s. When they dive onto him, he can immediately get rid of the fish that is connected with him potentially, and also throw down that movement increase from the Blade of the Ruined King and get him out safely. Copenhagen Wolves just staying grouped up as a tight-knit 5-man team, clearing out the Vision and Baron, and get themselves another pink ward. And you see Millenium, they've got to be very careful. They can't afford to be this split up. Kerp is a mile and a half away.
Yeah, I think they were potentially considering pushing for that inner turret, but they really don't have that team fight composition. They're all spotted by wards right now.
Yeah, it was very smart. It forced the Wolves to back away from Baron. If Wolves had gone for Baron, Millenium said, well, we're going to go down the mid lane. So you decide what to do. It pulls the Wolves away while keeping them a little bit safe. Now all of a sudden Millenium realize, well, the Wolves are too close to us. We really do not want to pick this fight. So they have decided to back away, and Copenhagen Wolves just looking for an opportunity.
Right now, we did just see Creaton backing off. He's got himself the Infinity Edge. He bought that Banshee's Veil a while ago. Now that damage is going to be very high on Caitlyn as well. So it's a case of who can get in the best position. You know, the two teams talked about really about the two junglers being the key focus in this one. Well, at this stage of the game, 44 minutes into the game, the key focus is almost certainly those AD carries.
Definitely. The scary thing is, though, for the Millenium team, there are 4 damage threats. You've got Renekton, Elise, and Fizz to worry about as well. So the Copenhagen Wolves need to actually get a very good team fight. Yes, Trundle and Gragas offer a lot of damage as well, but if you look at Lee Sin's build, he's gone basically pure tank. He's got a pickaxe right now. I'm expecting that to most likely become a Tiamat as well. We'll see how it works out. Explosive cast just to control Baron. They're going in Aranea!
They're going to go on towards it. Aranea is locked in towards it. He's going to try and repel in towards Youngbuck. He has to get away, but the barrels again. Another jungler taken so low, he might not get away from this one. Zenith Blade catches him in, and Kautar takes him down. They can start the Baron when they please.
Yeah, with the jungler down, there's a less chance of that smite threat. We do need to see if Kerp can get a good chum the waters. Where is Forgiven's positioning? The rest of Millenium are coming in from behind. This is a little bit of a pincer movement. Flash and Tibbers is available.
Flash Tibbers is available. If it's Kautar, they're going to focus on. A quick exhaust goes on towards him. Kerp has to use us on his hourglass. He baited everyone. A great tip is going down there. And Kerp does manage to get himself that kill on towards Kautar. Amazing taking low. Can he turn him down? The Ignite's running, but it's not quite enough. They're chasing on towards Kerp. They may be focused a little too much on him because Forgiven will get the kill. Youngbuck's taking low though. Look at Millenium chasing on towards it. A pillar of ice. Is it going to be one more shot from Kraton? No, he's got ace in the hole. He's not even using it. He's focusing on Unlimited and Forgiven coming around the side. Forgiven has got the damage to try and take these down. Great solar flare on towards Millenium there. Locks them both up. Kevin's trying to tank out the damage, but it's just not enough. And then Forgiven will chase them down. Amazing catches on towards them. Millenium are in full retreat right now, and Forgiven stands on a trap.
The fight took so long that Unlimited Solar Flare came back off cooldown. He used that in the pit to try and lock up RNA and get the kill. The Copenhagen Wolves did very well to get themselves kills, but I actually feel like the Millenium positioning was even better. We see a teleport plus home guard from Youngbuck. They're going to grab themselves this Baron. There are members of Millenium alive. I don't know if it's going to be up quickly enough. Here comes RNA with Smite.
He has going to come in there. He's got Kraton with him. Have they got enough to keep him at bay? The Baron almost taken down 4,000 hit points already. They are too late to get involved in this one. They have to back away, but the bottom inhibitor turret is taking a lot of damage from minions. We are going to see that game cleared out by Kautar just about, and the Baron was taken by the Wolves. Now Millenium are in desperate trouble. A 9,000 gold differential behind, and the Baron. This is dangerous times.
The team fight that Millenium needed to win just happened. Now, Kautar was the one that started that previous Baron engage. He threw the explosive cast onto Aranea, splitting up the Millenium team, and Solar Flare was thrown on his head as well. That is partially the reason that Millenium could run down the Wolves for so long and continue that extended chase all the way around to the red buff, because the Wolves simply used their ultimates too quickly. You have to give props to the Copenhagen Wolves though. Youngbuck gets himself alive, throws down that pillar of ice, survives that last auto attack, and as it stands with a 10,000 gold lead and Baron, those fights are going to be way more difficult for Millenium to get away with.
Well, right now we see the Wolves grouping up and pushing down that mid lane as expected. They're going to keep on pushing, and it's going to be dangerous times for Millenium. They've got to make sure they don't get caught out. Kraton, I was just mentioning that, pushing up a little too deep in that mid lane, so I'm just going to back away from that one. See where they go with this. They're going to try and push their way in. You know, you talked about the siege comp, and this is maybe the time where Millenium just can't stop them.
No, I don't think Millenium can, unless the Copenhagen Wolves overextend. The key for Millenium to defend this siege, this impending siege, is to land a good chum the waters or to jump on Forgiven. If Forgiven is in front of either Lee Sin or Trundle, that is the moment to just jump in there and go. On the other side of the coin, as long as the Copenhagen Wolves just keep spamming out those barrels and throwing down the pillars of ice, it's going to be very, very difficult for them. Youngbuck's actually just going to tank this turret up, and it actually goes down incredibly quickly.
And there's the turret going down. It's 48 minutes into the game. It's nearly a 10,000 gold lead, and the Copenhagen Wolves sieging. And if Kevin stands on barrels like that, it's not going to last too long.
It's actually quite interesting. That was a barrel that is dropping him fairly low. When you consider the amount of stats that Kevin has got tank-wise, the rest of the Copenhagen Wolves are now trying to push in, and we see as much wave clear as possible coming from Kraton. That's a great culling.
Yeah, that's taking Kevin down to half health. He's going to have to get blown to the side as well. Explosive cast used out. Copenhagen Wolves sieging down this turret. It's going to drop. They catch the Solar Flare and the Zenith Blade, and Jay Reed completely locked up and taken down by the Wolves. They're going to take the inhibitor down. They could maybe push for the win.
They've got enough members to do so. I don't think they will. It's a little bit risky. What I liked about the Wolves' positioning in that fight is they used the cast to get rid of Millenium. Their goal was the tower and the inhibitor. They didn't want to fight. They just wanted to push Millenium away, and Forgiven immediately got himself on the tower. So very good play from them. They're going to regen thanks to Baron, go to the top inner turret, and there's a big minion wave. So by time they get to the inhibitor turret, I almost expect their ultimates to be available, and Copenhagen Wolves can repeat the same process.
That top inner turret's going to go down. No time at all. They, as you mentioned, going to repeat that process. The Baron buff has plenty of time still left on it as well. They are going to shove on the culling once again being used, and it's Again, Kevin has taken all that front-loaded damage, but I just don't think he's tanky enough anymore. That Baron buff doing and work on towards him. You can see Aranea trying to keep him away. Explosive cask once again used, but that barrel, that turret is almost gone.
Yeah, the cask was maybe a tiny bit late there. The rest of the minion wave had already died. It's not going to stop the Wolves. They've got themselves a turret. Now we'll see if the Pillar of Ice will be used to catch anybody out of position. Kevin is standing there. Kevin has done nothing in 2 tower defenses because he cannot. The rest of his team simply cannot survive long enough if he throws himself in. And all of a sudden, Copenhagen Wolves grab themselves 2 inhibitors.
Perfect timing there. Baron buff just about to wear off. They take themselves 2 inhibitor turrets and the inhibitor as well as those inner turrets. And they are not done yet. The time Millennium go back, they go back to try and keep themselves topped off. Copenhagen Wolves thinking we can take advantage, and look at the culling just shredding J-Reed down.
That is an actual culling. It is not massaging J-Reed. He's going to force him away. Now, thanks to catching every single bullet, the rest of Millennium have to play a little carefully. Tibbers, the flash Tibbers engage is not there, and that's really the only form of initiation. Yes, you can rely on a cocoon or diving in, but we haven't seen J-Reed's Tibbers being super impactful. Copenhagen Wolves just carrying on poking. There's a Solar Flare.
Solar Flare goes down, but that's going to be explosive. Cask Kraton just blown away, but all they're doing is buying time. Flash Tibbers comes in from J-Reed. He's going to pay the price there. He will go down to Kautard. Kautard's going to force him back. You see Kerp coming in. Sonya's hourglass. Is it going to be enough to try and chase on towards him? He has to back away. Kevin's got nothing left. Kraton does take a limited down, but it's simply a support trade. And the Copenhagen Wolves waltz away.
Now the Copenhagen Wolves bought enough time for super minions to be bashing away on those Nexus turrets. They're going to steal away everything in the jungle and almost grabbing themselves a turret thanks to their minions. They're also going to get a dragon and then backing away. That Mercurial Scimitar allowed Forgiven to reposition. He got caught by Tibbers, he immediately cleansed that stun, dashed away thanks to the relentless pursuit, and then just laid the smack down onto Millennium. Copenhagen Wolves are in a commanding position. They just need to regroup, shop, get back in that middle lane, wait for super minions, and they can grab a victory here.
And that may well be what they do. You can see a Guardian Angel's being picked up by Kautard. He's knowing that he's the focus target, so he's decided, you know what, I'm just going to play it safe. You see regen coming out, everything on amazing. Youngbuck tanking. We did see a couple of shots coming in from Kraton. Of course, Youngbuck was focused on pretty heavily. Unlimited did go down. Kraton does do a lot of damage right now. He's gone and switched. He's gone for those 6-item build. No need for boots anymore. Not that Zephyr Blade in.
The problem is it's too late. Yes, great, you've got a Caitlyn that can do an incredible amount of damage, but there are so many targets between the Caitlyn and a tower or an inhibitor for Millennium that Kraton is just going to get shut down. And because of the fact that there's very few people to peel and protect for him, he's not going to do anything. You've got Kerp, Fizz and Elise are not the greatest at protecting an AD carry, whereas a Lee Sin, a Trundle, a Leona, every single one of them has some form or another of keeping Forgiven safe and alive in team fights.
Copenhagen Wolves are focusing on this final target. They've got super minions pushing in the top and the bottom, and why not just start to siege this mid lane turret. It's already down to half health. Wow, explosive cask used very early on there. Just throwing it out, seeing if they can blow someone back. They're not going to find the target. Doesn't mean it's going to have to wait just 20-30 seconds before it comes back up.
Some of those explosive casks have been a little bit questionable from Kautard, but because they're so far ahead, it seems to be working. Culling, once again, not connecting as effectively as we've seen in the past, and Youngbuck has got so many tanky stats, he can just clear away those Yordle snap traps. Wait until the super minions are on the Nexus, they are on the inhibitor rather, on the bottom lane. Now the Copenhagen Wolves need to start, use that Solar Flare, go in for the fight because the minions are working in their favor.
Instead they're going to buy that time. They realize that RNA and Kraton are busy and then just going straight for that Baron. This Baron will go down before Millennium even react to it. They can't chase it out. They're giving it them for free.
Yeah, there's nothing the Millennium can do. They don't have the vision. They don't have the ability to leave their base. When you've got that many towers down and the Nexus turret's so low, if Millennium step out, it just opens them for instant defeat. Okay? Copenhagen Wolves grab the second Baron of the game. They've had control of Dragon for the last 30 minutes, and we are approaching the 55-minute mark. It's getting to arguably the longest game in the LCS. I believe we're actually about to approach that.
Definitely getting there, and we knew it would be. Called those average stats early on. Barrels coming into Kurt there, having to quickly play for Trickster away, and Copenhagen Wolves doing it by the numbers, going back down towards them exposed inhibitors.
Yeah, we'll see whether or not the explosive cast can work in favor of the Wolves this time. Kautard's been throwing them, in my opinion, too early. drops it down. That's a lot of damage on Curb. This should allow them to get the inhibitor, so that was a great cost. And they catch 3.
Great solar flare. J-Reed caught, locked up there. He's going to go down. He's going to be the focus next. It will be on towards Kevin. The tankiest member of the team just can't fight them off there. Youngboy's going to get caught out. Earth pops up. They do get a kill down, and there's Kraton that takes it. But the barrels continue to roll out. I'm not sure Millenium can chase.
No, I don't think Millenium want to chase either. Youngbuck actually got burst down so quickly, he didn't even get to use Subjugate. If he does respawn in the next, well, when he respawns rather, he does have teleport and those home guard boots to join a fight. We do see Curb going in. That's a little brave.
Oh, very brave. Went in and thought seconds of it, and they're just quickly playful tricks of the way, trying to bait out some more abilities there. Copenhagen Wolves are going to back off. They have got that Baron. They are not going yet, though. They're just sticking around. Remember, they got regen with that Baron buff on. They're just going to shove those super minions back down Millenium's throat.
Yeah, I think the Copenhagen Wolves have to play the map a little bit more efficiently now because they've got super minions in the bottom lane and the top lane inhibitor is going to respawn soon enough. I think the Wolves should regroup once they get Youngbuck back, go back to the top lane, grab the inhibitor. They've caught Curb.
Curb caught out, going too deep there. Got a little bit too greedy. And that was exactly what he deserved, honestly. Unlimited using that solar flare, Forgiven using the call-in. Quick death for the mid laner, who has been fairly ineffective on Fizz so far, honestly. His Copenhagen Wolves have played it right. They've played him out of this game in that mid lane with the 2v1 matchup, and now the siege is on.
Yeah, great.
Cask.
And we'll see if the Wolves can get anything from it. That's the question. One cask allowed one auto attack on the turret. The rest of the Wolves are now sitting grouped up. We do have a teleport available, so we'll see if Youngbuck's using it. He's channeling it. We'll see where he comes in, straight under the tower. This is going to be the third inhibitor.
Third inhibitor turret goes down. Inhibitor will follow. Top one has yet to respawn, but it is due. We do see the Copenhagen Wolves rotating, expecting it to be there, but it wasn't. Nexus turret, well, they are both regen to full health, but I don't think that's going to last too long. Millenium putting up one last valiant attempt here. Tibbers is available, but Solar Flare catches straight onto J-Reed. Everybody piles in. Tibbers came down, but wow, it just did nothing. And the Copenhagen Wolves melt their way through the rest of the Millenium tanky front line. Kraton has to flash away. 90 caliber nets on towards the fountain, and it's the Copenhagen Wolves that take down Millenium in the first game of week 6. By God, was it a long one, and they certainly clawed it out there. 13-9 in the end, by the way, and it was a 56.5 minute game.